Let me set the record straight. Your dream life isn't being blocked because you're not good enough. It feels blocked because you're still operating from a version of yourself that doesn't truly believe you're valuable enough or worthy enough to have it. I know that's going to piss a few people off, but we're going to talk about it. What the does self-love actually have to do with living the life of your dreams? Everything. Welcome back to Chit Chat with the Self-Love Goddess. I'm your host, Brittany, also known as the Self-Love Goddess, and this is episode 2. What the does self-love have to do with living the life of your dreams? If you're new here, welcome. This is a space where we get down, we talk about the real, and we always find a way to pivot it back to self-love, because in my opinion, self-love is the foundation of everything that builds our dream lives. I'm Brittany, and I help women build lives that they love living based on a foundation of self-love and self-trust. Welcome. If you're already a subscriber, welcome back. You already know what the vibes are. Let's get into today's episode. The real problem. So the root of the issue here is the fact that we live in a world, in a society, in a space that genuinely benefits on us not valuing and loving ourselves. And this isn't like a vague conspiracy. This is our everyday life. If a lot of humanity actually knew our worth, our true value, and the true value of life, trusted in ourselves and the Most High, a lot of us would not be in the places and in the situations that we're in. We've been conditioned to believe that we have to constantly seek outside of ourselves for value, for reassurance, for knowledge, which has caused this root effect of like a lack of trust of self, a lack of belief of self, a lack of relationship with self, and a life that's constantly guided to you by others, especially authority. Like I said, a lot of the things that we currently tolerate in our lives, we probably wouldn't, like being on underpaid jobs, being in certain relationships and friendships and family dynamics that honestly drain us to the core. And this like constant need for approval for things outside of ourselves so we can feel solid within ourselves. For generations, we've been taught to be small, look outside of ourselves for answers, to question ourselves, and always think that it is something greater than us, more authoritative than us, that we seek truth from. And that's not to say that authority doesn't matter, or we don't speak and interact with others and seek knowledge so that we can be sure that the things that we feel and that we know to be true are in fact aligned and true. It's more so to say, like, when the root of your being is in finding reassurance, truth, and reality outside of your own and only perception of life, which is within, then you've been psyoped. Is that the saying? You've been duped, you've been gooped, you've been bamboozled. And to bring this back down to what this community space is actually about and what a lot of people don't like to talk about, let's bring it back to women. Not only is a person who knows their value, but a woman who truly knows her value is harder to control. The individual that knows their value is harder to control. Think about within that, the woman, the Black woman, okay? There's many intersectional layers that after the individual who is harder to control once they know their value, the individual who is dot, 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 dot. And why would, but anyways, we're not even getting into the whole rabbit hole of why people want to control certain identities and blah, blah, blah. Over here, we are in control. So that doesn't even exist. And sorry, I feel like I have to go on so many tangents. It's not to say that we need to be in control of everything, because we obviously have to be in flow with life. We cannot control all things because we do not know all things, and it is not our role to be in control of everything. But in control in the sense that no one else is guiding our lives for us. We are in the front seat, driving the driver's wheel. How can a corporation charge you $9 an hour if you know you're worth more? How can a booking charge you $150 when you know you're worth $350 an hour? How can someone convince you to stay in a relationship that doesn't feel safe or loving when you know in your heart the bare minimum is love and safety and loyalty? Even though I know, listen, especially in the sprinkle community, I know A lot of people believe that loyalty is not something that must be on the table, but again, certain things in this hemisphere just don't exist. Love, safety, loyalty, a must. How can systems keep you small if you actually know who you are? That's the entire thesis of this episode. The programming in this world wants you to doubt yourself because that doubt is profitable. And the minute you stop doubting yourself, everything changes. What self-love actually is. So before we get into what the self-love has to do with living the life of your dreams, we got to get down into the nitty-gritty of what is self-love? And I hate to break it to you, but it's not bubble baths. It's not affirmations. It's not, oh yes, I know I'm beautiful. I wear makeup and I look so cute. Yeah, I'm so confident, which it is. Like, don't get me wrong. That is a layer of self-love. You must have confidence. You must say your affirmations. You must, do your bubble baths and your self-care routine, your beauty routine, your glamour. But what I'm trying to get to is the fact that it's not about being nice to yourself. And it's not about ignoring all of the hard truths and raw reflections and sweeping them under the rug and only focusing on the good parts that make you feel good. In my opinion, that's not self-love. Self-love to me is self-awareness, self-honesty, self-acceptance of all the parts of you, the things that's easy for you to love, the things that you're working through, and the things that you cannot change and you just have to accept. Because not everything can be evolved and worked on and grown through. Some things just have to be accepted about who you are as a person, whether they're good or bad. Self-love is the acceptance of all of that. Self-love is accountability. It's discipline. It's having clear boundaries that you uphold. And most importantly, self-love is not abandoning yourself. It's being able to look at yourself in every season of your life and saying, I did that, and I'm proud, or I'm going to do better, or I accept it, or I'm moving forward. It's being with yourself every step of the way because you are all that you have. And it's all done through truth and through compassion and grace, not shame or guilt or harshness. Because like I said, you don't get to skip the uncomfortable parts and just dust it over with the pretty bits and call that self-love. The real portal of self-acceptance, the real portal of self-discovery is not found in the lies that you tell yourself to make yourself feel better for 2 seconds. It lives in the shadow work. It lives in finding the balance between the light and the shadow. It lives in acceptance and loving all of you, even the parts you're still working on. For me right now, because I gotta keep it real. That's what this whole space is about. That looks like acknowledging that right now in the season of my life, I look like someone who sometimes listens to respond and not to understand. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not beating myself up for it. I'm not like, oh, you're such a terrible person. Da-da-da. I'm accepting it. And because I'm accepting it, I'm able to work on it and evolve from that, become someone who is listening to understand. And then because I understand, building a response that's actual, true, and genuine communication with the people that I'm speaking with. And that's true self-love. The honest, self-accepting kind, not the, yes, you deserve to be heard and your feelings matter, your feelings are valid type. Instead of me gaslighting myself and be like, no, but that's fine because you deserve to be heard, da-da-da. Or going on the opposite end of the spectrum and being like, oh, I just need to shut up and not speak to anyone because I'm just so terrible. Just real deep negativity. I'm being like, okay, you know what? I understand that. I'm not gonna sweep it under the rug. I'm gonna acknowledge why am I being like this right now? And when I did the deeper journaling and stuff like that, I saw where I was swinging from one end of a pendulum to another, and I had been that person who was always so letting everyone speak and listen to everyone and da-da-da. And I think I had reached a point where I was just wait, I want to be heard. I got something to say. I need to, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, let's bring that expression to an equilibrium. Why self-love changes your life. So here is the clean cut, as simple as I could get it, truth of why self-love is so integral in you living your dream life. The minute you start showing yourself unconditional love, your life upgrades. Why does your life upgrade? Because you upgraded. Self-love is the foundation that determines what you believe you can hold, what you tolerate, what you pursue, what you receive, and what kind of life you let yourself have. Think about it like this. Even though, we know the truth about diamonds and how it's not really as valuable as the market makes it, and also that, the way to mine diamonds is so corrupt, but again, let's put that outside for this one example that I'm about to use, okay? Think about it like this. The first person who found a diamond and didn't really know like what it was probably sold it for like nothing because they just thought, oh, here's like a, shiny rock. They didn't understand its value. But the person who studied it, who understood the structure, its rarity, its worth, they knew exactly what rooms to put it in and exactly what it deserved in return. If you don't know yourself, you cannot understand your value. And if you don't understand your value, you'll keep placing yourself in rooms, situations, and relationships that don't honor what you actually are. You cannot love yourself unless you truly know yourself. And when you don't have that foundation, the money up, the relationships up, the opportunities you get, or rather you actually go for them because you believe you can have them up, the version of you that shows up for yourself every single day is a little up. And it's not because you're broken, because you're not broken. It's because you don't yet know what you're working with. You don't know the value of what you have. But when you do, that's the good news. We always got to get to the root. And then we have the solution, because that's what we do here. I'm not just going to hit you out on your and leave you high and dry. You move differently. You choose differently. You speak differently. You expect and look into life differently. You receive differently. Personal story. So I had to learn this the hard way in my life a few different times. It was not just once. It was not just twice. Shoot, I'm going to share like 3 little stories, but it wasn't even just 3 times, I'm sure. This has been an ongoing lesson in my life, and I think that's how like I really understand it in the way that I do, and I can speak to it in the way that I do with so much like honesty and detail and depth, especially with how to like maneuver it and get out of it, because I was in it. Like, there was a point in my life where like everything around me was just freaking chaos. Absolute chaos. I was in situationships. My friendships were like I didn't really have many people that I felt like I could depend on in that moment in my life. I was in a lot of unsafe environments where I was like partying and getting too drunk and just being a hot freaking mess. I was emotionally volatile. I had no control, no emotional regulation, no emotional maturity. Like, it was a hot mess. And like, above all else, I was just putting everybody ahead of me. Everyone's opinions mattered more than me. How I could be this or be that so that this person would love me or accept me or be my friend or make me their girlfriend or whatever. All that stuff mattered more to me than like me, that I mattered to me. And like, I had the gall and the gumption to like wonder why I kept ending up in like chaotic situations. Girl, the call is coming from inside the house. I remember the moment like it was yesterday. It just hit me like out of nowhere. I was like, do I even value myself for real? Because my life and the decisions that I'm making and the way that people treat me, it doesn't reflect that. That was like the first real time I feel like I realized that I didn't like truly love myself. Like, like I had finally obviously gotten like confidence. I knew I was beautiful. I knew I was smart. I knew I had like these talents and like that type of stuff. I was saying my affirmations. I knew I was a hot gal. But like, I think in that moment, I like realized, whoa, if I don't value myself, do I really love myself? And like, I went on my first self-love journey that was soon cut short. And that's leading me into example number 2. I was in this relationship for like 3 years. And, like at the time I thought like, wow, this is the healthiest relationship I've ever been in. And I'll say like, it was my first serious relationship. I don't know if I could say like healthy, but again, I found myself putting this person's desires, their aspirations, their dreams, their wants ahead of mine. I kind of literally moved out of my own life and just put myself in this person's life. And even outside of just that relationship, my friendships at the time and different reflections showing up in different situations, work, where it just shows I'm putting everybody ahead of myself again. And then, I hate, LOL, if you watched the first episode of Chit Chat with the Self-Love Goddess, then you know the time that I got arrested, that happened. And shortly after I turned 25, and trigger warning for self-unaliving, trigger warning. When I was younger, I had not really foreseen myself living past 25. So the day of my 25th birthday, I was actually not super depressed. I was very happy. I was happy to be here. I was like, I never thought I was going to see 25. I don't really know what I'm going to do. And then again, I was just sitting there and I was like, wait, what do I want to do? I don't even know what I want to do with my life. I don't even know who the I am. And it's not to say that I didn't know who I was, because I've always been this expression of my being, you know what I mean? But I think it was more so to say I don't even know what my goals are, what my aspirations are. How do I express my joy? What do I do for fun? Do I want to travel the world? I wanted to build my own first house. I haven't done that. It was just so many things. I was like, oh, I have this business I've barely been investing in. What the I gotta put me first, Lucius. And that's when I named myself the Self-Love Goddess. I just had this acknowledgement of damn, I'm about to live some years that I didn't even know that or think I was gonna have. Why am I not living them for me? So that was another shift. And then later on down the line, there was this moment of I had gotten the job that I wanted, and I was making money that I wanted, and I was in a relationship that felt really nice, and for the most part it was really good, nothing unhealthy. It was actually a healthy relationship this time. But there were two little things that I was brushing over because I was still having limiting beliefs, and also not necessarily putting my non-negotiables and my desires forward in the way that I should. And I had just hit a wall in that moment again when we parted our ways, and I just realized this is going to be an issue, and I need to honor my desires and put me first, and you also should put yourself first, and we just are not aligned in the way that we should be. That heartbreak allowed me to channel different moments in which I felt a similar type of heartbreak of kind of questioning, should I put my desires first, or should I put this thing that I want or that I think is for me first, right? And I went through friendships and past relationships, and even situations with myself where I told myself I wanted something, but I didn't even show up for myself in the way that I should have. And I just really realized there's a self-abandonment problem here, and we have to deal with this, and we have to stop abandoning ourselves and devaluing our desires, and putting ourselves first and our aspirations first, and gotta put you first, Lucius. And even in that moment of self-reflection of the self-abandonment, I had been so used to abandoning myself, it had to take me reflecting and being okay, well, if I abandon myself, what ways do I then abandon people that I love? For me to understand how deep the feeling of self-abandonment was making myself feel. Wow. But hey, if that's what it takes to get to the pivot, that's what it takes. I cut that off. I was like, no, I'm not going to be flaky to myself, and I'm not going to be flaky to the people that I love. Period. What people get wrong about manifestation. Now let's talk about manifestation. And I hate to even use that word because I just feel it's so overused and watered down, and people have changed the whole art of what I believe it is. I got thoughts. Manifestation has been watered the down. That's my opinion. It's been turned into do these 3 steps and get this thing in 72 hours. And I just feel that just scratches away the whole practice of calling things in and willing things to be and becoming a magnet for desires and stuff like that. It's just so capitalistic, honestly. It's become the practice of consumerism. It's just constant consumption. What can I get next? What can I have next? What can I manifest next? Instead of like, who am I becoming? How can I become more alluring? How can I increase my magnetism? And so people stay in this perpetual like rat race, chasing the next manifestation, never satisfied, never grateful for what they have because they're always trying to get the next thing, and never actually arriving and experiencing anything. Because the second that they got the thing that they wanted, it's already not enough. Now they need to do the next thing. And to me, that's just not manifestation. I mean, like, obviously it is, you are manifesting things, but like, that's just like a different type of lack dressed up in spiritual language. You just redirecting the energy of lack in a new way. And a lot of the time, people aren't feeling to manifest. That's the problem. People aren't failing to manifest. They're succeeding at recreating the identity they haven't yet released, just in a new form, in a new shape. And most times when we're attracting things, we're not attracting what we want, we're attracting what we are, who we are. Identity and embodiment. So what actually works then, Brittany? What works? Since you want to wreck manifestation for the rest of us, then what works? Embodiment works. Not just the vision board, not just the hacks, not just the scripting your desires and then putting them to the side and hoping that it comes to fruition. Embodiment is living intentionally in the energy and the frequency of who you are becoming. But rather, like I love to say it, language is language, so who you are becoming. But it's the art and the practice of being that already, so you can draw and call things in. It's showing up with awareness, with presence, with honesty, with faith, and with discipline. Not occasionally, but as a way of being. And that requires self-concept. Your self-concept determines what feels available to you, what feels possible, what feels like it belongs to you. I've seen this in my own life. The job that I have now, before I even knew that that's the job that I was going to be applying for, I just had this belief that I was going to do this thing that was going to, tick this box, this box, and I got that. The way I make money now, there was one point in my life where I was like, oh, I really want to like make money off my tarot, make money off my dance and my jewelry. And there was just a pivotal moment when I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it. It's just going to happen. I don't know how, I don't know when. And now I'm literally doing that. I've had some really big bookings recently. People are constantly booking me for tarot. I'm always dancing. I be modeling. I sell my jewelry every week at Fish Fry, so I've been doing that. But that's even been bigger. I do like one-on-one jewelry making sessions and stuff. And it's truly my belief that I received those things because I held the genuine belief in my heart that I was gonna get it. I didn't know how. I didn't know when. I didn't know through what modality, but I was like, I don't got this desire for no reason, so I'm going to get it, and I'm going to start becoming more consistent with my programs, becoming more consistent with my offers, becoming more consistent, you know what I'm saying? Just showing up as that person who is getting the bookings from now, so that when the bookings start coming, I ain't got to become her, I'm already her. And that's what identity does. That's what self-concept does for your life. It makes the path feel inevitable, even before you see it. Dream life redefined. And while we're here, let's talk about the dream life, because I'm not here to sell you no bullshit. I'm not here to sell you perfection. I'm not here to sell you a dream. I'm not here to sell you a life that's always perfect, always good, never have a bad day. You don't get stressed. There's no anxiety. I'm here to help you align with a life that always feels good to you, that feels like something that you love. So even when you're stressed, even when you have your anxieties, you don't feel like you have to try and find a way to escape from this reality. You still have a solid foundation of like, you know what, I love my life. So this thing doesn't seem like a big, oh my God, what the f is going on? It feels more like an obstacle and somewhere along my path that I just have to overcome so I can get back to my equilibrium, which is the life that I love. When you genuinely love your life, hard things just become an experience within a life that you love. But when you don't love your life, everything feels like something to survive. Every setback is another thing you have to overcome. And that's the difference. And that's even what I had to realize for myself. I used to tell myself, oh, I'm not gonna be living the dream life until after I've left my 9 to 5 and I'm fully an entrepreneur and a huge community and I'm doing these retreats and all these webinars. And like one day I was just like, wait, what the hell? Like everything that I've been asking for that has been this dream life, I have it. I'm already living my dream life. There was no, oh, I have to hit this before I can have it. It was, am I here? And I'm here. So let me be here. It's not that everything's perfect. It's just that I genuinely love where I am. And I know that where I am now is going even further towards what I thought was the dream life, the hard truth. So if your dream life still feels far away, it's not because you're not good enough. It's not because you're not capable. It's not because you don't deserve it. Your dream life feels blocked because you haven't fully accepted that it's possible yet. And underneath that, you may still be operating from self-abandonment. Still people-pleasing, still settling, still over-explaining, still procrastinating on things that actually matter, still choosing less, but wondering why you don't have more, but you're not giving yourself enough credit to who you are right now. The minute you decided you wanted to be something different, the minute you had that thought, you were no longer the person who were okay with where you were. That desire for change is powerful. That deserves credit. You are not behind. You're just not fully embodying her yet. And I say that with love because you already heard my stories. I've been there more than once. I've been there more than twice. I've been there more than 3 times. Integration. How to start? Super simple. Start speaking to yourself like someone that you actually give a damn about. Stop tolerating what feels off in your relationships and your habits and the way that you talk to yourself. Look at your daily decisions and ask yourself honestly, is this who I've been or who I'm embodying? Because fear and belief require the same thing, and it's faith. Matt, it just depends on what end of the pendulum you're gonna pour your energy into. And that's exactly why I created my webinar and framework, The Art of Embodiment. And it's not about learning more information because I feel like there's more than enough information out there on the internet. And you probably already know enough if you're on this space with me, and you've probably known for a while. This is about me really breaking down the framework step by step on how to come back to your purpose, your path, your divinity, and in alignment with your highest self. It's about embodiment. It's about being, releasing the old version of yourself that kept choosing less, building the identity of the woman who can actually hold the things that she says that she wants, and learning how to live in that place, not just aspire for it, talk about it, will it to being in it. That's where the work begins. Also, obviously, you can just listen to this podcast, take out the little tidbits, go on my Patreon, go on my Instagram, do your own personal research, and embark on your embodiment for yourself. There are more than enough free resources on the internet and even here at the Self Love Hub that can help you. That's just like a tried and true and certain way, honey. I've done it a few times already. So thank you so much for being in this space with me. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Chit Chat with the Self-Love Goddess. I just want to leave you with one message. Self-love isn't the reward after you get your dream life. It's the entire reason that your dream life exists. See you in the next episode. Bye.